So welcome back, Tweener Heads, to episode 3 of Friday Tennis Talk. We don't have Austin today, but we do have Beau. Beau and I met a couple months ago at, the City Open?
Yeah.
We did, and actually, Beau was the first person to actually recognize my logo because he walked by me and said, "Are you Tweener Head?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it was actually one of the funnest moments of my life that you recognized that. So I was really happy. Why don't you tell a bit of your story and what you're doing now?
Yeah, so it's funny. I met you at a really interesting time for me because, I obviously played college tennis and started playing futures, but I hated, and I don't hate it so much anymore, but I hated the way that tennis is covered and just the overall every stereotype about tennis players and tennis coverage. I was like, God, this sucks.
Yeah.
So I started doing my own interview show, my own podcast when I was in college, and I just kept doing it as I was playing futures. And it started to work out a little bit, and then I got injured, and so I was looking for jobs, things to do, and so I started doing a lot more writing and podcasting and stuff, and so that's how I got to cover the City Open, and that's where I met you.
Yeah.
So just out of playing, and I mean the love for tennis and wanting to show the sport as something just different than what it is, and I mean that's what's cool about I followed Tweener Head at the time before I knew who you were.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, okay, it's just like cool. Like, thank God there's just someone doing something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's such a big need for that. So I think when I saw it, I was like, oh, like another guy who's my age trying to do it. How cool is
exactly.
That? So it was really fun, and it's cool to see, like, when you're in that press room, who's really covering tennis. And you're like, oh, this is kind of why it sucks.
It's just different. It's just so different because you go from being on the outside looking in, and then once you're inside, you go, who the hell are these people? What have you done? Like, I've always said, you have to play tennis to know more about it. And I think a lot of people that cover tennis haven't really played tennis competitively like we have.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, yeah, there's just so much. I think it is really tough to cover tennis, I think, for a lot of people because you feel like it's very personal, especially with singles, where, like, you don't get to talk about the Vikings. You have to talk about John Isner. And, that's a person with a wife and a mom and a dad. And, so it can get really intense if you don't know kind of what it's like to play.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really hard to just start writing and covering tennis.
Yeah.
Because it seems so much different to an outsider.
Yeah. Because it seems easier when you cover tennis and you go, there was a moment in the match where the tides turned and they had a really good rally when the momentum shifted, but no one really goes into the detail of, like, this is what would happen to me in this instance, or this would be going through my head when this situation was happening.
Yeah, it's like, whenever there's the Olympics, and then, like, there's always that somebody tweets out, like, there needs to be a normal person in every race to see how good the Olympic athletes really are. That's, like, kind of what it was like.
Yeah.
It's like, you need that recognition of how good the guys and the women are.
Yeah.
Just so that you're not, like, pretending that Alex Zverev is bad, or that, like, Tim Smicek is bad. That's crazy to say that. So, yeah, I mean, I think the more people like us that there are, one of us will hit it on the head and get the coverage really going. So
yeah, that's what I'm hoping with this. And with you, are you still doing the podcast? Are you still doing the interview? Because you said you were with Cracked Rackets at one point, and are you still with them?
I am still with them, but I'm not doing it as much anymore.
Okay.
Because now I'm playing full time again, so I'm healthy.
Oh, okay.
And so I was in D.C. working, doing interviews, but also because of my sponsor, like, I had been injured for a year and a half at that time. And so I was just starting to come back. And after D.C., when I got to hit with Roger and Takao, like, I know Roger, and so I was like, okay, I feel okay. And then so since then I started playing again. And now that I'm playing again, No, I'm not doing it nearly as much.
Yeah.
Just because it's taking up so much of my day now. I moved out to California now.
Yeah.
So I'm training in Carson full time.
Okay.
And in Irvine, and it's just like it's crazy. I mean, it's a total change from where I am now from when we met.
100%.
And I also just don't really like. I feel like I'm now thinking very differently and like going through my own stuff as a player and trying to figure that out. That like I don't really know what I would want to ask people. You know, as weird as that is. Like the podcast, I still do it, but I don't really like put it out in the same way anymore because now I like see these guys and I'm on the court with them now every day.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna be like, I don't know. It's just
it's weird. It's like a different dynamic because you go from let's warm up to, hey, by the way, I'm doing a podcast. Can you be on it for like 10 minutes?
Right. Exactly. So it's just like it's a really interesting point for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I still love it and like I still want to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely trying to focus more on the tennis, and I mean now especially with the transition tour or world tour tennis or whatever it is, like it's realistically it's now or never for so many players. That, you know, you're just like okay.
And now it's like actually coming into play of like you have to be so dedicated to just get into those 4 qualifying spots.
Yeah, I mean you have to be like really not only playing so well, but I mean it seems like you have to be lucky or like have an in to get a wild card into
or
something.
Just know someone.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really weird about it, and like all the changes is to me it seems like it's just gonna even make it more like if you know the right people, you'll have the chances, and if you don't, you won't, which I don't think is best for the game because especially in our country. And so they're like, you know, I can't play. When realistically their level is not as far off as they think. It's just right away to 500. But you also get wild cards every week. So for sure you have to win those matches. But a lot of guys come out and get 1 wild card.
Yeah. So
totally depends kind of where you are and taking advantage of those opportunities. But that's sort of where I'm at now. But I have like such a audition going on for myself that I just kind of walked into when I went to Australia.
Yeah.
So it's really been great for me.
That's
nothing
great.
but great. But definitely the podcasting and journalism side of my life.
You cannot be serious!
The next thing I wanted to talk about was kind of your background when it came to college tennis. And you had an experience that most people, I would say, never had the luxury of having. Or at least I didn't. And how did you see that transition when you started playing professional from college? Like that, you played in Nebraska, right?
Yeah, I played in Nebraska.
Yeah, and you had so many connections outside of that. What was that like to kind of go into the professional world from your perspective?
What do you mean? What luxuries? What do you mean?
Just some people always dream about college tennis. I had the dream of playing college tennis. I never got to, I would say, your level or a higher level than I wanted to be. So what was it like to play with that kind of competition and then compare it to the tournaments you've played professionally?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's just another opportunity thing like we were just talking about. Like I have an older brother who played college tennis and then played professionally as well. So like he kind of did it all first.
Okay, so you had that experience.
Yeah, so like, you know, he's 9 years older than me.
Yeah.
So like, far enough away where he can totally walk me through things. So yeah, like I didn't know exactly what Futures was gonna be or Challengers is gonna be, because he never got really that high in it.
Yeah.
But having someone that can like tell you how it's gonna go and what to be expecting is huge. I mean, I played my first year at University of North Florida, and then I transferred to Nebraska.
Okay.
And the difference was absolutely insane. I mean, transferring was the best decision I've made in my whole life, just because, you know, at those big schools you have so much opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
You play a great school pretty much every week.
Yeah.
You know, the facilities are awesome. The coaching is good. The other guys on your team are good, and like, you know, for the most part, very motivated. You know, like nobody's. Yeah. Well, I mean, there are still some guys who are not like that motivated, but for the most part, they are.
Yeah.
like that set me up with guys from my college team to travel and play professionally with, and so that's really nice.
Yeah.
Just because you have a friend out there, and you can be doing that with them.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, I would say that that there's like a myth about college tennis. I still feel exists wrongly that it's not good, or like that it's not that good. Whereas like, I mean, futures is very similar, and I mean challengers are very similar as well. If you look at a lot of the guys who are top college guys, come out and then get into challengers pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So like they have the level. So I would say it's very similar, but the lifestyle is completely different. I mean, playing futures and challengers, if you're by yourself and you don't have a coach, which is most of us,
must be lonely.
It's lonely, and it's very easy to, not practice as much as you should, or go to the gym, or you go out too much, or because no one's there to call you on it. You don't have to show up and answer to anyone. If you play like shit, all you have to do is just go home, like, get over it. You don't have to like answer to anyone.
Oh yeah, because it's just you, and you can have the choice of doing something or not.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like just self-discipline really is kind of the biggest thing, in my opinion. If you have the level, then I think it's a lot about self-discipline. And, there are a million levels to get to in our sport, as we all know. But, yeah, I mean, it has 100% been, such a great experience for me to play, good college tennis, and then to play futures. And when I was in Australia, I played 2 challengers as well. So that was, awesome to mix it up with guys in the top 100 and get on court as a real player instead of a hitting partner and instead of a part journalist. Like that was really cool. And, there's definitely a part of me that is still working on getting over that, because you're like, fuck, like these are the real guys. And then like, so that's really cool. And that's the challenge of it that I have wanted, my whole life. So trying to do that has been really a great experience, a great teacher. And, you travel and you see the whole world, you see so much of the world, and you just, I mean, you're so lucky. You're so lucky to do it. And even the bad days, and especially since I've been injured because I was injured for 2 years.
Yeah. You told me that. And then you played in DC.
Yeah, now I'm playing again, and you're just like, oh my God, like this is a dream come true.
It's awesome.
Compared to whatever else I could be doing. So like, you're just, I mean, now I have such a different attitude about my time on the court and watching film and in the gym. I mean, it's just, none of it feels like a battle to me anymore. Now it's just like, dude, this is just one more day I get to do this. I gotta freaking do it.
It's just a routine for you at this point because you're in love with the game so much.
Yeah, I mean, really having it taken away, if you want to say taken away by the injury, and then getting it back, you're like, oh my God, I'd do anything to stay here.
Yeah, exactly.
I definitely didn't have that before I got injured. Before I got injured, it was just like, futures is a grind. This sucks. This is so hard. And, realistically, I should have had the attitude I have now. Yeah. But that just comes from experience and probably age as well. It's a big difference between 22 and 26.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it's like you say, it's you dream of it, and then, you get it, and you want more, you want better things for sure, but, recognizing where you are and how far you're going and how far you've come is huge. So it's great for me. I mean, I love it. I still love it. And even with the new rule changes coming, I mean, I still love it. So
just having that realistic expectation and where you see yourself going is a part of the game. And I think you realize that, and I think you know where to push yourself in those areas because, like you said, you started getting into this routine where it's just become a norm and you love it every day. And that just makes it better for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, just like we were saying earlier again, so much of tennis is about connections because it is such a personal thing. So like
100%.
All the time that you can stay out there as a player, all those people that you're going to meet as a player is just a different relationship than you would have if you meet them as a coach or a journalist or just a fan or whatever it is. So to me, that's definitely what I'm thinking about now is like, God, I'm really starting to mix it up with the top of USTA tennis.
Yeah.
And all of those big names up there. So you're like, this is what I've been waiting for.
It's just so different when you see, and I told you this, I think in DC, was when you go from seeing them on TV to actually talking to them in person, it's just a whole nother experience. I remember I was watching Osaka play, and all of a sudden I'm having a conversation with the guy. The guy ended up being her father. I was like, oh shit. Like, how did this happen? Like, oh, okay, cool.
Right, I know. And I mean, that's what happened to me in Australia. I mean, I went down there to play futures with no ranking, and basically no training whatsoever. But I was like, coming off the injury, and I was like, dude, this is my own money now. I'm just going. Like, fuck it. I'm going. And there was Jason Kubler was playing, and I was watching one of his matches, and I was, charting the match, all of these like strategies and stuff that I had. And I had watched a lot of Kubler's matches, so I have like probably 15 notebooks full of matches, right? And they're not all Kubler, but some of them are. So I was like looking through it, right?
Yeah.
And so I've got a hat and glasses on at the side of this futures court, so there's no one watching besides me. And I've got like all of these journals like spilled out around my bag, and I'm just like nerding out in my own world.
Yeah.
Like, so into it.
I can just imagine that too. That's so funny.
Yeah, and this guy sits down next to me, and he's like, at first they thought I was gambling. Because I have like different color pens, all this weird writing, it's so bad. If you just like look at my journals, like it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense to me,
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things.
And so I just started talking to one of the coaches from the USTA, and like that, and now I'm in, and you're practicing with Steve Johnson and Query and all these guys, and you're like, whoa, dude, like how did I go from being injured and not playing to now like you're really doing it, or you're trying to really do it, and I have a better shot than I've ever had,
Exactly.
So it's like it's crazy. And then it's crazy. I don't know how it happened, but like from that conversation in Australia until last week when I came home again for the first time in like 6 months, it feels like I haven't even had a second to breathe, because you're like, okay, yeah, I can hit with this guy, I can hit with that guy, like sure, you know what I mean?
And that's
so it's
and I think that's crazy.
Honestly, something you learn through sports, and then also like you know it from sports as well, but also like journalism. Like you wait around DC for an interview with somebody, and they say, okay, I can talk for 10 minutes, so you go. Yeah. You're like, okay, you got it. And you only get to ask 3 questions, but you take that opportunity, and maybe you have an awesome interview, and that goes viral, and you freaking make it then. I mean, that's really how close you are, I think. You as well, but like basically anybody. Yeah. You're so much closer than you seem, and I think that's like a really important thing to remember, that you're like, one good match or one good interview or one good whatever away from being noticed and something like that happening. So it's
you cannot be serious.
Yep.
Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about for our next topic of like being a hitting partner, because it kind of just fell in my lap. I just asked if they needed help.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and not many people get to have that experience, and I wanted to hear your side of it, because you were coming off an injury. You were having you played with more guys than I played with. I was hitting with most of the women on the tour. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I was in heaven that week.
Yeah,
I was in absolute heaven. You're getting to interview guys and ask them the questions that you want to ask them, and then getting to hit with them to me, that was a really big week, because I felt like I had a different racket at that time that was super light, and so it was good for my arm. And I was, like it wasn't a version of me that I would be proud of as a player, but still to be out there and you're like, wow, okay, like I don't think I'm like that far off, especially with some of them, and you're like, man, this guy's just talking to his coach about the most normal shit, and you're like, okay, I feel that too with my coach or whatever, it normalized them.
You started relating to them on so many other levels.
Yep, exactly, and they became just normal, and then you feel like, hey, if I could somehow get to this level, maybe you maintain it. Maybe you never do. But
Yeah.
to have that idea of like, hey, maybe if everything went right, I could pull this off.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to take the chance that everything has to go right, then maybe it will.
Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things where it was funny because I would be walking into the media room like drenched in sweat because it was DC, and I would just be having a towel over my head, and then I would be going, all right, who do I talk to next? And
Exactly.
just hitting with like I didn't get to hit with most of the men, as I said, but it's still being able to hit with some of the players on tour, like some of the women, the top 100 players. It's just like no one can say that they did this. No one can say that they had this experience, and it kind of just showed me that I still had faith in my ability to play because I was still hitting with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And still competing.
Absolutely.
And giving them maybe a hard time, a bad time, but I was just trying to help them out as much as I could.
Right. And I think what's also really big about that is like, you can relate to them in a way like, okay, they used us for practice, but mostly I would say for like literally warming up before.
Yeah.
And most of the guys I hit with were like, they had a moment in the, the 30-minute, 45-minute hit where like they kind of freaked out, and you're just like, oh, this guy's just like nervous the same way I would be.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is totally the same shit that I do. It's just he's better at it.
Yeah.
And so it totally normalizes them. And like, then it changed a lot of the questions that I would ask because I was like, these guys aren't robots. They feel all the same stuff. They just can control it better and maybe
they don't show it. They don't ever show it. And it's insane how they can emotionally and mentally kind of just shove it down until like it might come up in a match when something's not working, but like during practice they just don't fucking miss.
Right. It's so impressive, isn't it?
It's I was hitting with one of the girls and she just didn't miss for at least 5 minutes, and I'm standing there going, how the hell am I hitting this? How am I still in this? Like she hasn't missed a ball. What the fuck do I do?
Right. I mean, it's really amazing, and like that's one of the things that I always kind of like thought was probably true. Like, okay, if I find myself on the court with Malik Jaziri, like the guy probably doesn't miss a ball.
Oh no, he doesn't.
But then like you hear him playing first round at the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
Somebody will make it. Whoever is doing the commentating makes it seem like Malik Jaziri is like almost not good.
Well, because
this can't be actually right.
Because they haven't heard of them. They're not like in the top 50 winning a lot. So I think that's what is misconstrued within the tennis world, because you realize that some of these players that are in the top 100, like they're not winning, but they can still kick everyone's ass.
Right. I mean, they're absolute beasts. They just don't win slams yet.
Or like they haven't hit their peak potential.
Mm-hmm. And what was also interesting that happened for me after that week was it made me actually a bit less interested in writing about tennis, like reporting on it, because it so normalized them that it was like, am I really about to write something like good, like necessarily good or bad about this guy? Like, I just hit with him. This is just a normal guy. He's just really good at tennis. But like, he's totally normal. He was totally chill with me, and I'm just some random guy that's warming him up.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like,
they just met me.
And you also see that like they're not just like in this mode 24/7 of being super intense.
Yeah.
So like to paint them all as like the hardest worker I've ever met, that's not the vibe I got from the 40-minute hit. Like some of them were chill, some of them were on edge, some of them were very intense. Yeah. But like they're all different, and like I just sort of felt like, man, I'd really have to like know these guys. Yeah. After or travel and cover the tour for a couple weeks and be like, I generally know how they are before I'm gonna write something, because I was like, it's just kind of weird. It just made me feel kind of weird, and I think in a good way, of being like, oh, like Alex Zverev is actually a guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he's not just like some myth. Yeah, he's just a guy who warms up too. Yeah. And I feel like that's where so much of the media goes wrong, where like, you make them into like these things that they're just not.
Yeah,
you know, and like, those stories, they probably sell, and that's what people want to read and hear about. But to me, it just sort of a little bit rang a little bit false after I experienced hitting with them and talking to them.
Because I think a lot of people don't know what goes into a 40-minute hit. Yeah, it's only conveyed within a certain spectrum of media, and I think one of my goals would be probably to follow someone on tour, like just travel with them for a month or two and just see what that is actually like and what it's actually to go through. And there are articles out there that I love, and I think a New York Times article I read a while back about a woman that was on tour that's barely struggling just to switch a flight. But that's the reality of tennis. If you're not in the top 100, you're not making any money. And now with the transition tour new rules, you're kind of fucked out of making any money for that matter.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it's crazy.
And I think it would be so cool if there was, you know, maybe it's you, man. Maybe you're the guy that can pull it off. But, you know, if you followed around a guy or a woman player that, you know, that's around like 70, I bet that would be so much more interesting than people would imagine.
Yeah.
You know, because you're on the edge of getting into 250s and 500s. You're still playing qualies. Yeah. Are you getting into slams or are you playing qualies?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I mean, it's just such a less it's such a glorified world, I think.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's still pretty tough.
It sucks. Because
it's just you're totally still fighting, even though you're like 75.
Because if you look at like the ATP World Tour media and the videos they produce, it's nothing. It's always the ATP Next Gen. They did Tennis Channel did Jared Donaldson. They did big names that people would know within the community rather than like going to someone from Europe who's again like in the top 100 but not there yet, and telling their story, telling how they got there and what their next big move is. Because there are a lot of people from the US Open this past year that made breakthroughs that they won't talk about.
Right.
That they need to talk about because they're probably going to move next.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're spot on.
And who was your friend I met at the US Open?
Oh, Brandon?
Yeah, Brandon. Like, just listening to what he knew about, like, what goes on. Like, that's what I want to hear. Like, I can't share what I heard, but I would love to hear more of that.
Right. And, I mean, since I've been out in California with the USTA, dude, there is so much stuff that goes down that literally, if you're not there that day,
you're fucked.
You don't get that opportunity.
Yeah.
And if you are there, you're looking at a wild card to a challenger if you win one match.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
But like,
just to prove yourself.
They're not making a wild card tournament. They're just like, hey, who's here today? Let's play for it. And you're like, oh fuck, I happen to be here. I guess I get a shot at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's nuts that's how it works. And so like, yeah, I mean, there are so many things, and the more guys like that you can meet, and you know, places you can put yourself to really find out like what is going on.
Yeah,
it is so important.
It's just crazy to me.
You cannot be serious!
The last thing I want to talk about is your profile on Facebook.
Is that you?
No, I swear to God. I swear to God it's not me.
You are the only one that's ever brought it to my attention, and now you bring me on your show and you question me about it. I think this is you.
No, I swear to God. Because this thing, so for those who don't know, and probably don't know at all, someone created a fake athlete page on Beau on Facebook.
Hey, maybe it's just fans. Did you ever think of that, Phil? Huh?
Do you have fans? Do you ever think that you have fans yet?
I might have fans, okay? I will give myself credit that there might be one guy who was like, you know what? Beau Treyz deserves a fan page. I'm going to make one for him. It might be one guy. It might be one guy, but I'm just going to I'm going to pull up the page for you. I'm going to pull up the page. It's a page for people like this. There's no profile picture. It just says athlete. That's so weird.
And then
it's just pictures from my Instagram, huh?
Yeah, and it's the latest one was on the 14th at 10 p.m. that said, Think for yourself or be thought for. Hashtag don't overthink it.
But that's so weird because it's the same caption that I put on Instagram, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like it's me, which I don't understand.
There's a
because
video.
It's not me.
There's a video.
Of what?
I have no idea.
Watch it. And turn up the sound so I can hear it.
Dude, it's just the beach.
It's a beach?
Yeah.
Is it Jack Beach?
Oh,
Oh, fuck.
it's just literally you pan. It's a video of you panning across a beach, and then you just turn the camera around, and it's just your face.
Oh, it's Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's so... I wonder what it is.
Dude,
I really wonder what it is.
I really think that this was the funniest thing because I asked Beau, did you make a page? And he goes, nope, not at all. Because it came up on my Facebook and I liked it because I'm like, oh, he's moving up. He's creating a brand for himself. And
Right.
all of a sudden I reach out and he goes, nope. I'm like, oh, fuck, who is this?
That's so weird. I wonder what it is because it's weird that there's not like more stuff. You know, I would
Yeah.
like let's say someone made it, right? Let's just go with that theory.
Yes.
Why isn't there more stuff? And why isn't it like weirder? You know?
Define
You know,
weirder.
like, well, just that I would imagine it would be like old pictures that someone would find of me from like Nebraska or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know who goes through the hassle of making a page about me, but then if you go through that hassle, like you're pretty much in on it then, and you might as well continue. If you just take the pictures from my Instagram, like that's not even a solid effort. That's just like anybody could do that.
I just like how they don't have a profile picture for you at all.
Yeah. What is that?
I want you to find this page. It's just Beau T, and it's a page.
I've never even looked. So it's Beau T.
Beau T on Facebook. I liked
What
it.
a shitty page, huh?
Absolutely. I think your fans really didn't want half-assed it. If you have fans, they half-assed the shit out of it.
Like, you didn't even put my last name. Who's gonna know? Okay, I'm definitely not. I don't have enough fans to be known as Beau T. Definitely not.
Saying Beau T itself is really funny. Like, it's not even like a full sentence.
It's almost like a word, like Beau T. You're like, oh, excuse me, I didn't hear what you said. Finish up?
No,
You know?
no, just Beau T.
Right. Like, what does that even mean? I don't know. But I wanna, man, what if let's say a person made that? I hope they listen to this interview. And then they're
please.
like, that would be amazing.
If
we need
you're-
to get
Oh
a
my God.
three-way podcast, me, you, and the person who made that page.
Please.
We all need to hash it out.
If you are listening to this, whoever made the page Beau T, please contact me on my Facebook page. Just send me a message and just let me know who you are and why you made this. Because I think this would make a great segment. Let's meet. Let's meet them.
That would be amazing. Dude, you should do a segment of like finding random fan pages and the people who make them.
Oh my.
Players.
Oh, like all the pro fan pages
Yeah.
that are followed by the pros. I think that would be hysterical.
Exactly.
Just be the first question you ask, are you crazy?
Right. Do you know that this is just also another person
Yeah.
that you're an enormous fan of for no reason, really? Okay, cool. As long as we got that out of the way.
Just to make sure you're not legally allowed to be submitted into a psychiatric facility, I think we're good.
Right. That's so funny, dude. Absolutely hilarious that it came up on your...
It didn't come up on yours?
No, I've never seen it. And I didn't know it was called Beau T. After this, I'm going to go look at it.
Go look at it and send me a message because I really want you to figure that out.
That's so weird. And you know what? I wonder, like, if other people have seen it and probably thought the same thing. Like,
hey, it has 4 likes. I'm one of them.
Who are the other people that like
All
it?
right, let's... Investigative journalism.
Right?
4 likes.
In time.
Let's see. Four people like this. I can't see who liked it. Are you serious? See all. 4 total likes, 4 total follows. That's it.
Pretty solid odds right there.
I'm following too? Why am I following? Why am I following if I like this?
Dude, you
Who put
created
this?
thing. Dude, this
There's
is the
no
biggest
way.
troll- This is the biggest troll scheme I've ever
No,
seen in
I
my life.
swear to God. Swear to
I
God.
have no idea, but someone who knows both of us made it, and then knew that you would be like, "What is Beau doing?"
No, because it
And
has
knew
to be-
also that I would never figure it out.
Or you're trolling me and you have no, and I'm like just talking to you.
No, it wasn't me. It would be because if I was gonna make that kind of a move, I would at least try to like really do it. You know?
Just put
Like,
more effort into it.
Yeah, I'm 100% like going all out. If I'm gonna make myself a fan page as an athlete, I gotta go all in.
Yeah,
So
like
I'm not gonna
decorate
do
it.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it.
I'm not gonna go do it and then not make a dude. What kind of a psycho doesn't have a profile picture? You know, like that's like having like an emoji or like an egg as your profile.
But it's not
picture.
even an egg, or it's not even the silhouette of a head. It's just a flag.
It's a flag.
Yeah, because it's a page. It's not a profile.
Oh, you mean it's like is it an orange or like a gray flag or something like that?
It's just a blank flag.
Right. Yeah.
It's a white flag.
No idea. The
That-
flag of surrender.
Yeah, because that's what they're going to be doing after we find out who they are. Well,
That's
Beau.
so funny.
Well, Beau, thank you so much for joining us for episode 3 of Friday Tennis Talks. Hopefully, we can have you on again.
Yeah, man, my pleasure. Anytime.
Thank you so much. Make sure to follow us on all of some social media, guys. And we're almost at 100 subscribers on YouTube, so go make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Huge, man. All the best, dude. You're killing it. Keep
Thanks,
going.
man. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, man.
See ya.